Ruby thought to herself, wow, it's going to be okay. I can get through this day today. And then she started to sing herself, and she got very happy. And she said, I looked over Jordan, and what did I see? Coming for to carry me home. I saw a band of angels coming after me, coming for to carry me home. And she smiled because everybody just kept singing through the day, and before she knew it, the morning had passed. Even though her fingers were sore from picking the cotton, she said, it's okay. God's going to help me. It's going to be okay. When she thought of the song that she was singing, she thought, Jesus is going to come and take me home to heaven one day, and my fingers won't be sore anymore, and it's going to be okay. And she smiled at herself, and she was very happy, and then she was even happier because now it was lunchtime. So she ran to the big magnolia tree where she would meet her favorite friend, Solomon. Solomon was an older man, and he had been a slave most of his life. But he was the wisest man that Ruby had ever met in her life, and she knew that she could go to Solomon and ask him any question that she wanted. And so that day she thought to herself, we sing an awful lot of songs, but I'm not really sure why we sing them other than they're nice to hear, and I'm not really sure what they all mean. So she sat down with Solomon, and she looked at him, and she said, Mr. Solomon, I need you to teach me something today. And he said, sure, Ruby, what do you want me to teach you? And she said, well, Mr. Solomon, my favorite song in the whole world is this Swing Low, Sweet Chariot song, and I think that there's more to it than what I understand, and at 6 years old, I just don't really know. So her friend, Mr. Solomon, said, well, Ruby, you're right. There's a little bit more to that song than just the words that we sing on the surface. And he said, when you hear the word swing low, that means come down to where the slave states are. The word sweet chariot means the Underground Railroad. Coming for to carry me home. It means taking me to a safe place. And she thought to herself, wow, that's really amazing. And then her friend Solomon continued to tell her, when she sang, she looked over Jordan, and what did she see? That meant that when they got to the Mississippi River, they were looking to the north where there was freedom. And she saw a band of angels coming after me. And what that meant was the Underground Railroad workers were coming to help them to take them home to freedom. Amen. So Ruby was so excited, and she said, whoa, what does all of that mean, and why do we do that? And Solomon said, remember when we had our church service, and I reminded you that John, when he was on the island of Patmos, he wrote verses in code because he didn't want the Romans to understand what they were saying. And Mr. Solomon shared with her that this was the same case with this song because there were a group of slaves that were getting ready to escape that evening. And they were going to ask the folks from the Underground Railroad to help them. And so Ruby got very excited because Mr. Solomon said, Ruby, you're going to be part of that group, so stick close to your mama. So Ruby went back into the field, and she worked really hard that day, and all she could think about as she was working and singing was that there were messages in all the songs, and soon the sun began to set. And she heard them singing, wade in the water, wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. And she thought to herself, man, there has to be a message in that, so let me go in and talk with Mama and see if she can tell me what that means. So she went in and she sat with Mama, and Mama told her, Ruby, there's going to be a time that comes this evening that we will have to go. And she said, Mama, is there a message in that Wade in the Water song that we were singing? And she said, yes, there is, because when we start to go on our journey, we will come to water, and we need to walk in the water so that the dogs that they send to find us will not be able to catch on to our scent. So Ruby said, okay, Mommy, I'm going to remember. So the evening drew on, and it came time to go to sleep, and Ruby kneeled down with her mama, and she began to pray, and she asked God to protect them and lead them and guide them so that they would be safe on their journey. So I'd like to tell you the rest of the story of what Ruby's journey was, but our time here is short. So what I wanted to share with you in this is that, we come to church a lot, and we hear all these beautiful songs that we're singing. And we have to understand that there's a big message in the songs that we sing. They give us hope, and they tell us about all the things that God has done for us and help us to remember Him. The other thing that we have to remember is that there were a lot of people who made big sacrifices, even sacrificing their lives in order for us to have the freedoms that we have today. So we have to remember what they've done for us, especially what Jesus did for us. He made a huge sacrifice with His life that we may be free, but He also sent angels to help us so that we may be free also. There's a wonderful woman, her name is Harriet Tubman, and she's the one who put together the Underground Railroad and helped all the slaves to escape to the north so that they may be free.
That's where we get it.
Yes, that's where we get it. That's wonderful. So, will you remember when you come to church and we sing those songs, make sure that you start to remember them so that when you're tired and when you're hungry and when you're bored, that you can sing those songs and have hope and know that God is right there with you to help you. Amen? Amen. Amen. Does somebody want to pray with